This was really a vineyard that was very much a key part of me coming up here to work at Checkmate. Seeing those vines and the age that they had, 45 years old now, really gave me confidence that the Okanagan was a region where you could have sustainable vineyards and where you could really have the potential to make really great wine.
And what makes the Dekleva Vineyard so unique is these old vines. And they're trained quite different to a standard vineyard. Standard vineyard is what we call vertically shoot positioned. These vines are trained to a Geneva double curtain, or a GDC. And essentially how that's different is that we're not controlling the growth throughout the growing season. So you can imagine the shoots grow up, and as they get longer, gravity starts to pull them down and they start to form an umbrella. And they grow out towards each other and they get to a point where they almost touch from row to row. And that's unique in that it shades the fruit. You can imagine all the green tissue up above, and then underneath, hanging below, are the grapes.
And this vineyard, I think, is the one where the whole story starts. It's really the vineyard that was the genesis for Checkmate coming into being. It was purchased in 2012, and it just so happened that right next door, the Combray property was up for sale, and it had this winery here on the property. And that really gave the opportunity to create a Chardonnay house that would also focus on one red wine, which is Merlot. Around 2014, I realized that there's quite a difference between the fruit that we have here, say, to the fruit that I was used to down in California. The climates are very different between the two. Obviously, that's driven by latitude, but there's a few other factors that kind of play in terms of geography and location. And in California, it is a cool region, but it's a cool region because it has the marine layer. So a very long, protracted season, around a 7-month season for Chardonnay. But the downside of that is because it's a marine layer coming in, you have a lot of humidity. And so there'll be a lot of disease in the fruit. So to have botrytis in California was a given. Whereas coming here, what I noticed a little bit in 2013, and particularly so in 2014, was that we have these beautiful dry summers. We have very short season. We have bud break around the start of May, late April, start of May. We can be picking Chardonnay as early as late August, or generally by mid-September at the very latest. So that's around a 4.5 month growing season, as opposed to a 7-month season. If you think of that in terms of the health of the structure of your grape berry and the skin, it's incredibly healthy. It's nice, and it has a nice texture to it. It's hard to split. So I think by the end of 2014, I kind of realized there's an elegance to the wines here. But I also noticed that, counterintuitively to what a lot of people thought, because we're in a region that has a short growing season, they can actually handle oak very well. The new oak in the Checkmate wines is actually significantly higher than the new oak in any of the California wines that I was involved in making, but yet they display the oak much less than those wines do. And that's really because of the health of the fruit that comes in and what it gives us. And the great thing about the Okanagan is that because the season's so short, we get this really pristine fruit, all the hard work that Devin's done, and you get this very elegant fruit coming through. When I taste this wine, we get the signature of what the clone gives us, is a floral kind of characteristic, the Dekleva material. It comes through, but it's very subdued. It's not very different to what you get, say, on the Black Sage bench where you have these sandy soils. It's much more aromatic. Here in the heavier, rocky, clay-based soils of the Golden Mile bench, it tends to be a bit more subdued. Very textural, very creamy on the nose. Really nice apricot and peach fruit coming through. And then on the palate, you get this very rich kind of creamy texture up front. But there's this striking minerality and kind of wet stone character that comes through that gives a life to the wine. And it really sets these wines apart that we make in the Okanagan. Because our fruit is so pure, we get this beautiful, clean character, and then we get what the vineyard brings, which is this almost racy kind of minerality coming through. And it just makes it a very pleasing wine, a beautiful food wine, and a wine that you can really enjoy over time.